welcome back to Tonya's Witchy Kitchen for another episode of Tonya's Witchy Kitchen Tea Time. Can't even say my name. Oh, super crazy, isn't it? Super crazy. Can't believe we're already here in December. Just amazing. Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? I'll show you my little penguin hot air balloon. I love hot air balloons. I love penguins. I think that started when I was little. Sometime. I don't know how. I'm not even sure why. But I have totes and boxes of penguins, but that's okay. Like my penguin PJs. These are my absolute favorite PJs in the world. They're not as fuzzy as they used to be. They're only about 20, 30 years old. From my mother-in-law, like our first Christmas with them. Yeah. Yep, they're my favorite. Absolute favorite. They're missing a few buttons here and there, but they're still quality PJs, I'm telling you. Okay. We are talking cacao powder and cacao nibs and cacao butter. We're not using the butter today though. But that is what our tea time video is about. 3 things. Dream big. Be true to you. You are worth it. Let's get to this video. I needed my drink. Okay. Cacao is what we were talking about. And the actual, dang it. I forgot. You're going to be like, she's never together. She's never together. Okay, just leave the book open. The Theobroma cacao is the scientific name. Something like that. You know, one of those names. The actual name. And it means food of the gods. Food of the gods. Isn't that beautiful? It is the raw form of cocoa. We eat the fermented seeds. And this is how we make chocolate, people. It's bitter and warming. And if you've ever stuck your finger into a container of Hershey's cocoa, that is the bitterness they talk about. Every kid does it. I swear every one of mine has, because they're like, oh, it's chocolate, you know, and yeah, no, it's unsweetened. It's very dark. But yeah, so, you know, it's very bitter, but it's very warming. We have butter, nibs, and powder. Sorry. Oh, so it's got many health benefits. For fatigue, they did a chronic fatigue, people with chronic fatigue syndrome. I can't even talk today. Okay. Where one group got a little dose of cacao every day and the other group did not. And they saw an increase in the sleep benefits, the sleep patterns in the ones that were taking it. Like they slept better. They should have put me in this study because I haven't slept good since I've had kids. So I'm a perfect candidate. But it also has cardioprotective and neuroprotective, which means it tones and protects the heart and the nervous system, which is super important. It's anti-inflammatory and it's a stimulating nervine. Helps lower blood pressure, increase insulin sensitivity, which I'll get to in a minute, supports cholesterol levels, brain health, lowers inflammation, and heart health. Talked about that. Healing Spices is a book by Bharat Aggarwal. I'll link him below. He did a study, I think in the 1990s, I could be wrong, where he noticed that people in Panama were so suffering from heart disease, and this other region really close by was not. And he wanted to know what the difference was. Well, these people over here were drinking cacao drinks, chocolate, and these weren't. And so he did an intense study on the benefits of the cacao. And quote from the book, flavonols in cacao disarm cell damaging free radicals, preserve cell membranes, protect DNA, prevent the formation of artery clogging plaque, improve blood flow to the heart, lower high blood pressure, and prevent blood clots that can cause heart attack or stroke. So you people that don't like chocolate, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding, you guys. Dark chocolate, I don't really know, because it's like cacao is just, it's just dark. To me, it's dark. So here it is. It increases the insulin sensitivity of the body, okay? Which in turn reduces the risk of diabetes, because your body is doing what it's supposed to do. Now, an interesting thing, you know, people are like, oh, if you eat a lot of candy or whatever, you know, you're gonna get diabetes. I don't know. My dad told me that as a kid, they had a drawer, and it was a candy bar drawer, okay? Like, I can't even picture this. A candy bar drawer full of large size candy bars, and they could eat them whenever they wanted. And he was a candy junkie. Peanut M&Ms were his favorite thing. But any candy. And he wouldn't eat just the little serving size, people. He would eat, you know, okay. He was never diagnosed diabetic. Never. If he was tested, like towards the last few years, I would almost say he had to be, but never showed signs of any of that. So it's all the chocolate he ate. Good or bad. Oh, but yeah, so I think that's just really interesting how that is huge benefits, because diabetes is running rampant through our world. So Kimberly Gallagher's book, Aphrodisiac, talks about the caffeine and theobromine connection, and which they combine together, which gives us the energized and uplifting feeling. Did I tell you cacao has potassium, magnesium, phosphorus, and calcium? Yep. So there's the cacao with anandamides and phenylethylamine also help boost those mood elevating effects. And the phenylethylamine, that's a natural compound in our brain, and that releases trace amounts when we're in love. You know, you're on cloud 9. Why is it cloud 9? I don't like cloud 9. I want to be in cloud 3. I like the number 3. I'm on cloud 3. And I'm assuming those are the ones released in love when it's like you're still in love in the honeymoon phase. Because I'm not saying a Hershey's candy bar is going to make your spouse more enticing. I'd recommend gin and tonic. I'm sorry. It's a joke. I'm just kidding. I need gin and tonic. No, I'm kidding. Some days it's just good. It's just good. Okay. Candy bars today, back to the Hershey's, do contain more sugar, way more sugar than they do the chocolate or cacao. Okay? To get the health benefits, you want to okay, we'll get to the dosage. But you want the 60 to 70% cacao candy bar. You don't have to eat the whole thing. We're going to get to that in a minute. But if you don't like dark chocolate, and there's a lot of people who don't, and you really want to get the health benefits from it, start with something small. Start with, and I'm not saying eat the whole bag, people. Like, start with, if you prefer milk chocolate chips, do semi-sweet for a little bit, like one or, just one or two. And then go to you can get dark chocolate chips, okay? I don't know what the cacao rating is on those. You have to do your research, but start, just increase that up. If Almond Joy would make their Almond Joy into the dark chocolate instead of the Mounds, that would be the perfect candy bar. Because I can eat those suckers like nuts, but I prefer Mounds because they're the dark chocolate. Which my kids, a few of my kids are like that. I'm not sure about those younger two. I know my youngest does not. He's a milk chocolate junkie. He doesn't like dark chocolate, but I'm gonna have to get him hooked on that one. I'll throw out all the chocolate chips and buy just dark chocolate. We'll see how that goes over. Don't overdo your hot chocolate, dark chocolate intake. We have been testing and trying a few different recipes, and let me tell you, I am stimulated. I have a headache. Yes, there are a few side effects. It can lead to insomnia, nervousness, anxiousness due to the stimulants in it. If you're sensitive to chocolate. My grandpa was sensitive to white chocolate. White chocolate gave him massive headaches. Weird. Yes. So, moving on. The adult dosage. I'm going to talk adult dosage because I don't know. I couldn't find child dosage. So, adult dosage, I suppose you'd have to take, divide it out. I know there's a tincture way to do it, but I don't know. But adult dosage is 2.5 grams or 10 grams of dark chocolate, which I found kind of weird. So it's 2.5 grams of high flavonoid cocoa powder or 10 grams of high flavonoid dark chocolate per day. Okay, so that's the thing. If you're taking the powder, the cacao powder, 2.5 grams. I'm just going to change this on my notes. This is powder, and this is the chocolate. So if you're taking the chocolate chips, you can have 10 grams per day for the health benefits. Adults. Kids are smaller. Kids get less dosage. Come over here. He's so cute. Okay. I'm just trying to cover up my background, you guys. I'll get a shower curtain. Yeah, my husband will love that one. ParentingHealthyBabies.com has an article, and it's so amazing. Okay, but they did 11 healthy benefits for cacao in children. Number 1, helps with tooth decay, more effective than fluoride for cavity prevention, and actually hardens teeth. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to go into my opinion about fluoride at all, except to tell you, you might want to do a little more research, like dig deeper on what fluoride does to what else it does to the human body. Number 2, aids in digestion. Helps keep the system clear and free of toxins. Now, I want you to think about this. This is in children, okay? Benefits for children. Don't you think that you would get these benefits as adults too? Yes. So think about this as for your children or your grandchildren or whatever, and for you. Okay. 3, it's a healthy fat. Healthy fat. Do your kids ever lick the butter dish? My dog licks the butter dish. We're not going to even talk about that. She's so dumb. She's so dumb. I'm sorry. She's so smart when it comes to her job. But otherwise, she's a cattle dog. So she chases the bucking bulls, or she can actually round up the chickens for my husband. Yeah, so that's her job. That was what she was purchased for. And but licks the butter dish. And as a kid, I remember my brothers, taking a hunk out. My kids took a hunk out. You'd see this big finger through the butter. And my mom would always say, oh, they're just lacking fat. They're just lacking good fat. And I'm like, oh, it makes sense now though. Healthy fat. Number 4, cognitive function. It increases problem-solving skills and analytical skills in children. That's where they did a study. I thought there was a research study they did. Go check out the article. Number 5, prevents sunburns. A study showed that children that ate cacao every day on a regular basis, you know, if you miss a day, I'm pretty sure it's fine, regular basis, can combat sunburns for longer periods of time. See, you feed them cacao and they can be out longer. No. I don't care. My kids can be out all day. I don't care. Number 6, maintain internal balance. This one was interesting. Internal balance as in stress. Kids do have stress, and it just kills me with these little kids that I see that are so stressed out and they don't realize it. Cortisol is the hormone that if you have high cortisol levels, your stress is high. Your adrenals are dying. You want that level low. And they say coffee causes that, and I'm just like when my doctor says, how much coffee do you drink? And I'm like, well, what do you or he says, do you drink a lot of coffee? And I say, what do you consider a lot of coffee? Because my stress ain't from my coffee intake, it's from other things. So kids have stress, and the cacao actually helps that stress hormone stay low. Even if you have high stress, because you need your body, you can't always deal with the stressors outside, but you can help your body deal with that stress so it doesn't, you don't have adrenal burnout and high cortisol levels and all the other bad things that can happen when you're overstressed. Okay? But interesting for children, and like I said, that's an adult benefit. Number 7, it combats fatigue. Regular doses help children sleep better. And we talked about the chronic fatigue syndrome study they did. So yeah, why wouldn't you? Number 8, helps prevent cardiovascular disorders. So sad. Why do we have cardiovascular disorders in children? Okay, number 9, it's a mood enhancer. You know, maybe they're pissy, maybe they're moody, maybe they're cranky. Give them a little piece of dark chocolate. Kids love chocolate, so if it's dark chocolate, maybe mix it with a little milk or something, make a hot cocoa, which we're gonna do, but yes. Number 10, I like number 10. Number 10 is probably, along with the cortisol thing, number 10 is my favorite. It improves skin texture and skin glow. What do kids need a skin glow for? They don't need any skin glowing. They got beautiful skin. We need it. Adults need it because our cortisol levels are high and we're stressed out and we don't sleep. I need more cacao. Okay, sorry, I just got a little excited about that. Number 11 helps with cough and colds. Coughs and cold. The theobromine helps reduce the cough and the cold more effectively than over-the-counter cough suppressants. And we've talked about this, you guys. All the different spices and herbs that are expectorants, you know, to help clean your lungs of the gunk and the, you know, I suppose in this case, you really wouldn't want to feed it to them with milk because milk can cause more mucus and phlegm, and you're trying to get rid of all that crap. So you'd have to find a different way to give it to them, but really interesting. Isn't that interesting? So, okay, a child's dose, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know. 1 chocolate chip. A couple chocolate chips if they're bigger. You know, maybe you can get it into their diet, put it in their breakfast cereal or snack or something. Yeah, it's crazy, super crazy. But we're going to the kitchen because, like I said, we have been testing. I'm sorry, I just like to play with it. We have been testing different types of ways to make hot cocoa, and that is the most appropriate tea for December, I thought. But so we're going to the kitchen. We're doing 2. We limited it down to 2 because yeah, there's tons of them on the internet, and in the end it was like we took the 2 better tasting ones and that were not so hard to make, and stuff like that. So I will see you in the kitchen. Okay, first I thought I would show you how to roast cacao nibs, just because it's a nice thing to know. So you start with raw cacao nibs, and you put them in a little pan, depending on how many you're making. And I always put parchment paper on, just because, I don't know. I just do. I think you're supposed to do that. And you want them in a nice single layer. Don't make it thick, just a nice single layer. And you're going to put it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 10 to 15 minutes till they smell like brownies. And you want to mix them halfway in between. Look at that beautiful color. And they smell like brownies when they're in the oven. Okay, we are doing some spicy hot cocoa with cacao nibs. And you need the raw cacao powder and the sweetener of your choice. Honey, maple syrup, coconut sugar, whatever. So we start with a little pot because we're making just a little bit, because if I drink all this hot cocoa, I am in so much trouble. And ignore my stove. My kids were deep frying last night and I didn't get it. They didn't clean it up. So you want to start with 1 tablespoon cacao powder and a nice pinch of salt. Did you know chocolate and salt go together? The salt brings out the chocolate's lovely characteristics. I'm using a tablespoon of honey. You can go half a tablespoon. You have to do it to your sweetness. Gauge it there. And then 2 tablespoons or a tablespoon, whatever, of milk to start. Okay? Just to start. And then I'm going to show you spices you can use. Cayenne. You can use a little bit of cayenne. You can use a little bit of cinnamon. I think that was cinnamon powder. Cinnamon stick. And I think, what's the next one? Star anise. I need more. Better fill that jar up. And vanilla extract. I lost my basil jar. I lost a whole jar of basil. I filled it up and I cannot find it. I'm so mad. I love basil. But we're talking cacao. So what you want to do is put this on a low to medium heat and whisk it within an inch of its life. Okay? Whisk till you get it all nice and blended together. It takes a little bit because, the heat helps, dilute it or help it to dissolve into whatever. You know what I mean? So you're just going to whisk it to start. And you can see the bubbles, it's boiling. And so the next thing is to add 1 cup, because this makes 1 cup. Okay, guys? 1 cup of milk. And I mean, if you were making this for a large group, you would obviously be using a bigger pot and doubling or tripling or whatever the recipe, right? So this is where you add your spices. I'm going to add a half of an eighth of cinnamon and just a shot of cayenne. And it wasn't too much at all. It really wasn't. And my cayenne is like 90,000 or 70,000, whatever they gauged that at. It's a pretty high potency, but it was just enough, Mexican chocolate uses a lot of spices. I didn't want to call it that because, they might have a specific thing to it. So you just want to bring it up to a boil or a light roll before it boils, right? And, yep, see? And that's when it's done, okay? and then you just take it off the heat. Okay, this is the spiced whipped cream. I'm going to tell you something about heavy cream. If it says ultra pasteurized on it, if you can like somehow keep yourself from not buying it, don't buy the ultra pasteurized. Okay? It's just not good for you. I mean, if you don't have a choice, especially lately, I mean, definitely buy it, you know. Cream is cream when you need it. So we start with 1 cup of heavy whipping cream, and to that we are going to add 2 tablespoons of sour cream. Now, if you're just going to use a mixer, I used an immersion blender, which is why I am adding everything at once. If you're just using like a beater and a mixer, don't add the sour cream till the end. We also are adding vanilla, 1/4 teaspoon cardamom, and 1 to 2 teaspoons of powdered sugar. Somehow I didn't get that videoed. Okay, so I'm using my immersion blender, and this is one of those things that it looks like nothing's gonna happen, and then the minute I shut the camera off, it goes whoop. I kid you not. So, and you know how it is. So if you're using a beater, okay, beat it till soft peaks form, and then add the sour cream and beat it till you have medium peaks. Okay. If you're using the immersion blender, you know, it ain't gonna matter. You can do the sour cream in there right away. I really liked this stuff, you guys. Like, I wasn't sure when I first like read the recipe, and I was like, I don't know about that sour cream. But it's like sour cream in cheesecake. You know, it just adds that little zing. You gotta try it. It's really delightful. If you don't want the 1/4 teaspoon cardamom, you can add cinnamon. You can add any spice you want, or you can leave the spice out. But look, poof, there it is. Just solid. I told you it was gonna do that to me. To assemble this, don't do it how I did. Put the dang whipped cream in first. I had a hellacious mess. Oh, it's heavy cream. It's very heavy cream. So just don't do what I did. Put the cream in first and then pour your chocolate in. That seemed to work better for me later on. And don't forget the peppermint candy that is required in all hot chocolate. There's your spicy hot cocoa with cacao powder. I thought I'd throw in this beautiful winter picture just to kind of get you in the mood for hot chocolate. That's a good idea, right? And here we are to our liver love hot chocolate. Totally herbal. I forgot to show you what I did. So it's 1 tablespoon dandelion root, 1 tablespoon burdock root. I did change the recipe a little bit. And 1 tablespoon dried chicory root. That's the really dark stuff in there. And then we had 1 cinnamon stick. I guess I could have put 2, they're little. And these are our roasted cacao nibs. We are adding 2 tablespoons of those and 2 tablespoons of our roasted cacao powder. We are going to, it's 2 cups. I'm going to put a little more than 2, like 2.5. Okay, here's where I'm changing it. If you're not used to dark chocolate and you don't want that dark chocolate flavor, this was really good. This was probably my favorite. We tested 3 or 4. This was my favorite overall. But it was too dark for me. So I would definitely do 4 cups of water, okay, instead of the 2. And then what you do is you bring it to a light boil, okay? Bring it to a light boil and reduce the heat to low, just so it kind of simmers, you know, really low. And we're going to let it simmer for 30 to 45 minutes, okay? 30 to 45 minutes. Now, the rest of the instructions say to let it cool for another hour or so and then strain. With 2 cups, this stuff was pretty freaking potent, and I didn't think it needed another hour. Just before I strained it. So as you can see, I strained it as soon as it was done with that 45-minute cook. Yeah, and strain it. I mean, really squish the chocolate, your liquid out of that. You know, however you strain your stuff, you know, make sure you squish it really good and get all the chocolate out of there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to add a half teaspoon. Oh, I'm still doing this? Seriously? Okay. Okay, so basically I added about a tablespoon of honey, or maybe a teaspoon, somewhere in there, half teaspoon vanilla, and probably a half a cup of milk. And it was good. It was dark, but it was good. However, for my preferences, I added a little more honey. I added probably another half a cup of milk, and no more vanilla. But definitely diluted it a little bit, and it was my favorite out of all the chocolates, hot chocolates that we had tried. Seriously. It was so good. And my grandson came over and he drank a whole fourth of a cup before his mother even knew what he was doing. And there's the Liver Love hot chocolate. Very delightful. And that is it for Tonya's Witchy Kitchen Tea Time. I hope you had a good time. Thank you for stopping by. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.